Listen closely, because if you're watching this right now, it's probably because she's pulling away. She used to text you back quickly. She used to seem excited to hear from you. And now, silence. Cold replies, excuses about being busy, and what's happening inside your mind. Chaos. You're checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're replaying every conversation. You're asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Why is she slipping away? I get it. I've been there. Every man has been there. But here's the brutal truth that most men never hear. The very act of chasing her, of obsessing over her, of trying desperately to win her back, is exactly why she's moving further away. Society never tells men this. Your friends probably won't tell you this. But I will. Because the moment you start reacting out of fear, the moment you act desperate, the power shifts completely. She's no longer seeing you as a strong man she's attracted to. She's seeing you as a man who is clinging for validation, and nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. Think about it. Imagine you're dating someone who panics the second you don't reply. They text you 10 times. They call you, asking what's wrong. They tell you, please don't leave. I need you. How would that feel? Would you see them as strong, as confident, or would you see them as needy and insecure? Exactly. You'd feel suffocated. And that's how she feels when you chase. This is the first lesson you must tattoo into your mind. Chasing makes her run faster. Now here's the kicker. Your instincts will scream at you to do the opposite. When she pulls away, your brain panics. It screams, do something now, fix it, reach out, show her you care. And you believe that if you just give her more attention, more reassurance, more of your time, she'll magically come back. Wrong. That is the trap. That's the cycle that keeps men stuck in desperation and heartbreak. Instead, you need to learn something that the Stoics, those ancient philosophers who mastered emotional strength, knew very well. You cannot control her actions. You can only control your reaction. And when she pulls away, the strongest reaction is no reaction, calmness, emotional control. So here's what happens when you stop chasing. She notices. She feels the space. She starts wondering, why isn't he blowing up my phone? Why isn't he panicking? Why isn't he trying to get me back? That curiosity is powerful. It flips the dynamic. Instead of her being in total control, suddenly she starts to think about you again. And when she thinks about you, attraction reignites. Now don't misunderstand me. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about ignoring her to manipulate her. This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because he knows his worth. Let me give you a picture. 2 men, same situation. Both of their girlfriends start pulling away. The first man panics. He texts her constantly. He sends her long paragraphs. He asks, "What's wrong? Did I do something? Please don't leave me." She feels overwhelmed. She loses even more attraction. And eventually, she's gone. The second man notices she's pulling away, but he doesn't react with panic. He stays calm. He doesn't blow up her phone. He goes to the gym. He focuses on his work. He spends time with his friends. He's not cold, but he's not chasing. She starts to wonder, why isn't he worried? Why isn't he begging me to stay? And that curiosity pulls her back. Which man do you think she respects more? Which man do you think she feels drawn to? Always the second. Always the man with emotional control. This is why I want you to remember, the strongest move you can make when she pulls away is to stop overreacting. Stop letting fear dictate your behavior. Because the truth is this, women don't pull away because you didn't send the right emoji or because you didn't reply fast enough. They pull away when they sense weakness, when they sense that you've made them the center of your universe, when they sense that you need them more than they need you. And the way you break this cycle is not by trying harder, but by detaching and taking control of yourself. So here's the first shift you need to make in your mind, starting today. Detach from the outcome. Whether she comes back or not is irrelevant. Your worth does not depend on her. Control your emotions. Breathe before reacting. If you feel panic, don't act on it. Sit with it. Stop chasing. The less you run after her, the more space you create for her to miss you. Reclaim your focus. Shift your energy back onto yourself, your goals, your life. These are not tricks. These are timeless principles. This is how men throughout history, from Stoic philosophers to warriors and leaders, handled loss, rejection, and detachment. They didn't crumble when someone pulled away. They stood tall, calm, and grounded. So remember, the first step when she pulls away is to stop overreacting. Chasing her will only drive her further. But holding your ground, staying calm, and refusing to let desperation control you, that's what makes you different from 99% of men. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper. I'll show you why not chasing is actually the most powerful way to let her feel your absence, and why giving her space makes her come back stronger. Stay with me, because once you master this, you'll never see relationships the same way again. Now that you understand why overreacting destroys attraction, let's take it a step further. Because this is where most men fall into the biggest trap of all: chasing her when she pulls away. And let me be clear, nothing, absolutely nothing, kills attraction faster than chasing. Think about what chasing really communicates. When you blow up her phone, when you beg for her attention, when you keep asking what's wrong, you're sending one message: I'm scared of losing you. And the second she feels that fear, the second she realizes you're terrified of her absence, she knows she has all the power. She knows she can treat you however she wants, because you'll still be there, chasing, begging, clinging. That is the moment the dynamic shifts completely, and not in your favor. But when you resist the urge to chase, when you let her feel your absence instead of bombarding her with attention, something powerful happens. She starts to feel that space. She starts to wonder why you aren't running after her. She starts to question herself. Wait, why isn't he chasing me? Does he not need me? Did he lose interest? Has he moved on? That curiosity is exactly what pulls her back. Let me give you an example. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, she pulls away. You instantly feel panic. You start texting her. Hey, are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Can we talk? Please, just tell me what's going on. She sees those messages piling up, and instead of feeling closer to you, she feels suffocated. She feels like she's being smothered, like you're trying to pull her into something she's no longer sure about. And what does she do? She pulls even further away. Now the second scenario. She pulls away, but this time you don't chase. You give her space. You don't spam her phone. You don't demand answers. Instead, you continue living your life. You hit the gym. You go out with your friends. You dive deeper into your work or your passion. You show without even trying that you are not dependent on her to feel whole. And suddenly, she's confused. She starts thinking, why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he desperate? Does he even care? That curiosity begins to gnaw at her, and sooner or later, she feels drawn back in. This is the paradox. The less you chase her, the more likely she is to come back. But let's be real, this is not easy. Your instincts will scream at you to do the opposite. When she pulls away, every fiber of your being will want to close the gap, to fight for her, to convince her to stay. And yet, that very reaction is what destroys the attraction. You have to do the hardest thing of all: hold back. Here's how you do it. No blowing up her phone. If she doesn't reply, leave it. Don't double text, don't triple text. One message is enough. If she's interested, she'll respond. Don't demand answers. If she's distant, don't corner her with "What's wrong?" questions. Let her process in her own time. Respect her space. If she says she's busy, believe her. Don't push, let her be. Fill your time with purpose. When you stop chasing her, You need to redirect that energy into yourself, the gym, your career, your hobbies, your friends, anything that builds your life stronger. Because here's the truth. If you don't fill that void with your own mission, you'll be tempted to run back to her. And that's when the chasing begins again. The Stoics had a word for this: self-sufficiency. They believed that true strength comes from within, not from external validation. And when you chase, you're admitting that your sense of worth depends on her. But when you step back, when you let her feel your absence, you're sending a different message. I am whole, with or without you. That mindset is magnetic. It's what separates boys from men. And let me tell you something else. Sometimes giving her space won't bring her back. Sometimes she'll take that distance and never return. And you know what? That's okay. Because the man who refuses to chase, the man who stands strong in himself, never loses. If she comes back, it's because she respects your strength. And if she doesn't, you've just made space for someone better, someone who recognizes your value without needing to be begged. That's the power of not chasing. You win either way. So here's your challenge. Stop chasing. Stop running after her. Let her feel your absence. Let her wonder why you're not panicking, and focus on building your own life. In the next part, we're going to take this even deeper. I'll show you how to shift your entire focus onto yourself to become the kind of man she can't ignore, the kind of man who draws people in naturally, without chasing anyone. Stay with me because this is where the transformation really begins. If you've made it this far, you already understand two things: don't overreact and don't chase. But that's just the foundation. Now, we're going to build on top of it. This is the part that changes everything. Because avoiding mistakes is one thing, but what makes her lean back in, what makes her unable to ignore you, is when you shift your entire focus back onto yourself. Here's the truth. Women are not drawn to men who orbit around them. They're drawn to men who orbit around a mission, a purpose, a vision bigger than themselves. Think about the most magnetic men you've ever seen. Leaders, creators, athletes, entrepreneurs. What do they all have in common? They're obsessed with their craft, their mission, their direction in life. And because of that, people, including women, are naturally drawn to them. Why? Because they radiate certainty. They radiate strength. They radiate, I don't need you, but you'd be lucky to join me. That's what focusing on yourself creates. So, what does this look like in practice? It comes down to three things. Build your body. Not for her, not for anyone else, but because strength and discipline are magnetic. When you walk into a room with presence, people notice. Build your mind. Read. Learn. Sharpen your skills. A man who never grows stale, who constantly improves, is impossible to ignore. Build your mission. This is the most important. What are you working toward? What are you building? A man with direction is more attractive than any words you could ever say. Imagine this. You're hitting the gym consistently. You're putting in hours into your craft, whether that's your business, your studies, or your creative passion. You're surrounding yourself with friends who elevate you, not drag you down. Now picture her watching you from the sidelines. She sees that you're not waiting around for her texts. She sees that you're moving forward regardless. Suddenly, you're not just the guy she dated. You're the guy on a mission, and she can either keep up with you or be left behind. That shift changes everything. This isn't new. Ancient warriors, philosophers, leaders, they all understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote about focusing on your duty, not on the approval of others. Samurai trained their minds and bodies daily, not to impress women, but because discipline itself was the path to freedom. And ironically, that's what made them so magnetic. They didn't live for validation, they lived for mastery. When you take on that same mindset, when you live for mastery instead of approval, women notice. They feel it. They can't ignore it. Now, let me be brutally honest. Most men do the opposite. Most men lose themselves in the relationship. They stop working on themselves. They stop building. They stop striving. They put her at the center of their universe, thinking that's what she wants. But the moment you make her the center of your universe, she loses respect for you. She doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to join a man who already has one. And if you don't have one, she'll leave, or worse, she'll stay but never see you as the man she can't resist. So here's the challenge. Stop revolving around her and start revolving around yourself. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what am I building today? When you hit the gym, remind yourself, I'm not doing this for her. I'm doing this because strength is who I am. When you study, when you work, when you grind, know that every step forward is building a man she can't help but notice. Now, let's be real. It's not easy, because focusing on yourself means you'll have days where you feel alone. You'll have days where it feels easier to distract yourself with her, with women, with attention. But that's the trap. That's how men waste years of their lives chasing women instead of building themselves. And here's the harsh truth. Women are temporary. Attraction comes and goes. But your purpose? That's eternal. Your mission is the one thing that never abandons you. Build it, and you'll never have to chase again. So let her wonder. Let her question why you're not begging for her attention. Because the truth is, you're too busy becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase. And here's the beautiful irony. When you focus on yourself, when you pour your energy into becoming stronger, smarter, and more purposeful, she'll feel it. She'll be drawn back to you not because you begged, but because you became magnetic. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. I'll show you how to master your emotions, how to stay calm, controlled, and unshakable, even when she tests you. Because trust me, she will test you. And how you respond will decide whether she stays or walks. Stay tuned. This is where the game truly shifts. By now, you understand the power of not overreacting, not chasing, and focusing on yourself. But there's one more layer, a deeper test that every man must face: mastering your emotions. Because here's the reality. Women will test you. Life will test you. And if you crack under pressure, if you show weakness in the wrong way, all the attraction you've built will crumble in an instant. Let me say this clearly. Women do not respect a man who cannot control himself. That doesn't mean you need to be cold, robotic, or emotionless. Robotic. It means you must learn how to feel deeply without being controlled by those feelings. Because the second you let your emotions run wild, the second you explode, break down, or beg, you lose respect. And without respect, attraction cannot survive. Picture this. She pulls back. Maybe she ignores you for a day. Maybe she says something sharp, something designed to sting. Most men crumble. They lash out with anger. Why are you treating me like this? Don't you care about me? Or they collapse into neediness. Please don't leave me. I can't live without you. Both reactions kill attraction instantly. But imagine a different response. She tests you. She pulls back. She tries to poke at your emotions, and you remain calm. You don't raise your voice. You don't panic. You don't beg. You just smile, breathe, and carry on as if nothing can shake you. That calmness is magnetic. That composure is strength. So, how do you master your emotions? Let me break it into 3 practical steps. Detach before you react. When something triggers you, her silence, her words, her attitude, pause. Take a breath. Don't respond instantly. That one pause can save you from saying or doing something that destroys attraction. Translate your feelings into strength. Anger? Channel it into the gym. Frustration? Channel it into your work. Anxiety? Channel it into discipline. Emotions are energy. Don't waste them on chasing or arguing. Convert them into fuel. Remember the bigger picture. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? In a month? In a year? Most of the things that trigger men into emotional breakdowns are small, meaningless tests. Don't throw away your frame over something temporary. The ancient Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's exactly what mastering your emotions, Island. It's realizing that you can't control her actions, but you can always control your response. And your response is what determines whether she respects you or dismisses you. Think about two men. One gets ghosted for a night. He panics. He blows up her phone, sends 10 messages, accuses her of disrespect. By the next morning, she's completely turned off. The other man gets ghosted. He notices it, but instead of reacting, he goes to the gym, has dinner with friends, works on his project. The next day, she texts him again, and he replies calmly, as if nothing happened. She can't help but wonder, why didn't this bother him? Why is he so unshaken? Which man do you think she'll respect? Which man do you think she'll chase? Here's the truth. A woman doesn't need you to be perfect, but she does need you to be unshakable. She needs to feel that when storms hit, when life gets chaotic, you won't collapse. Because if you collapse, she won't trust you, and if she doesn't trust you, she can't be attracted to you. Now, I won't lie, this isn't easy. Mastering your emotions takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes catching yourself when you want to explode or beg, and choosing strength instead. But every time you hold your frame, every time you stay calm when tested, you gain more respect. And respect is the foundation of everything: love, desire, attraction. Without respect, it all falls apart. So here's your mission. Stop letting your emotions control you. Start mastering them. Learn to pause before reacting, to channel your feelings into growth, and to hold your frame no matter what. Because when she sees you can't be shaken, when she sees you're calm in the storm, she won't just respect you, she'll crave you. And in the next part, we'll talk about something that amplifies all of this: the power of silence. I'll show you why saying less, pulling back, and letting silence do the work is often more powerful than any words you could ever say. Stay locked in, because the next part will change how you communicate forever. By now, you've learned not to overreact, not to chase, to focus on yourself, and to master your emotions. But there's a tool that ties all of these together, a weapon so subtle yet so powerful that most men completely underestimate it. That weapon is silence. Most men ruin attraction with too many words. They over-explain. They justify themselves. They plead. They argue. And in doing so, they strip away their own power. But silence? Silence flips the script. Silence forces her to feel the gap. Silence makes her wonder what's going on in your mind. Silence makes her lean in instead of pull away. Let me paint two pictures for you. In the first, she pulls back. Maybe she's cold with her texts. Maybe she's distant, in person. And what do? You start talking more. You overcompensate. You explain yourself. You ask 1,000 questions. Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? Please talk to me. She feels the desperation in every word, and instead of drawing her closer, you push her further away. Now, the second scenario. She pulls back. She's distant. But this time, you don't panic. You don't chase with words. You remain calm. You let the silence hang. You respond briefly, then pull back into your own world. Suddenly, the silence becomes deafening for her. She starts thinking, why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he blowing up my phone? Why is he so calm? Has he moved on? That silence becomes a mirror, reflecting her own doubts back at her, and more often than not, it pulls her back in. So, how do you use silence effectively? Here are 3 ways. When she's distant, don't overcompensate. Match her energy. If she sends short texts, don't write novels back. If she pulls back, give her space. When she tries to provoke you, don't react. If she makes a comment designed to test your emotions, don't get defensive. Sometimes, the strongest response is no response at all. When things get heated, Step back. Instead of arguing endlessly, pause. Walk away if needed. The silence will do more to reset the dynamic than shouting ever could. Remember this: silence is not weakness. Silence is control. The strongest men in history understood the power of restraint. Leaders, warriors, philosophers, they all knew that sometimes saying less commands more respect. When you stay silent, you show you're not desperate to fill the air. You show you're comfortable in your own frame, and that comfort is magnetic. Think of music. What gives music its power isn't just the notes, it's the spaces between them. The pauses, the silence, the moments where nothing is played. That's what gives rhythm, tension, and impact. The same is true in relationships. Silence creates space. Silence creates rhythm. Silence gives weight to your presence. Now, let's be honest. Silence is hard. Silence feels uncomfortable, especially when you care about someone. Every instinct inside you will scream, say something, do something, fill the gap. But that's the trap. The moment you give in, the moment you break the silence out of fear, you hand her your power. The man who can stay silent, who can let her sit with her own thoughts, is the man who wins. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel that urge to over-explain, to beg, to argue, pause, say less, hold your frame, let the silence do the work for you. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, silence is often when the most powerful shifts occur. It's in the silence that she starts questioning, doubting, and realizing what she might lose. So remember this: sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. And in the next part, we'll bring it all together. I'll show you how to combine everything: control, focus, silence, and strength into a complete mindset. A mindset that not only keeps her attraction, but transforms you into the kind of man who never has to beg, chase, or fear losing anyone again. Stay with me, because part 6 will tie it all together into the final transformation. You've made it through this journey. You've learned not to overreact. You've learned not to chase. You've learned to focus on yourself, to master your emotions, and to wield silence like a weapon. Now it's time to bring it all together, because what you're building is not just tactics. What you're building is a transformation. A transformation into a man who is untouchable. Let me be clear. Untouchable doesn't mean arrogant. It doesn't mean heartless. It doesn't mean you don't care. Being untouchable means this: no one, not a woman, not society, not circumstance, can shake your core. It means you've built yourself so strong, so centered, that whether she stays or she leaves, whether people love you or hate you, whether life gives you ease or chaos, you remain the same man. Solid, grounded, unshaken. Think about it. You no longer overreact because you know your emotions don't control you, you control them. You no longer chase because you understand your value doesn't come from her, it comes from within. You focus on yourself because you know your purpose is bigger than anyone's approval. You stay calm under tests because you refuse to fold under pressure. You use silence as strength because you've mastered the art of letting her wonder instead of begging for reassurance. Put all of this together, and what do you become? A man who is complete. A man who doesn't crumble. A man who inspires respect without ever asking for it. That's untouchable. And let me tell you why this matters. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not about tricks. It's not about playing games. It's about who you are when everything gets tested. She doesn't stay with you because you texted the right thing or because you acted mysterious for a week. She stays with you because deep down, she feels she can trust you. She feels your strength. She feels your certainty. And that kind of trust doesn't come from words. It comes from the man you've built. Think about the men remembered throughout history. Leaders, warriors, builders. They weren't remembered because they begged for validation. They weren't remembered because they chased approval. They were remembered because they stood firm. They had vision. They had discipline. They had presence. That's what you're building now. And the beautiful part is, you don't need to be famous or powerful to live this way. You just need to master yourself. Because the man who masters himself is already untouchable. Here's the difference. The weak man gets ghosted and he collapses. He spirals into self-doubt, he panics, he begs, he loses everything because he was never centered in the first place. The strong man gets ghosted and he shrugs. He doesn't overthink it. He continues living, building, growing, and sooner or later, she realizes she can't shake him. She either respects it or loses him forever. Either way, he wins. That's the key. When you become untouchable, you always win. If she stays, it's because she respects you, desires you, and chooses you freely. If she leaves, you remain whole, because you were never dependent on her in the first place. You win either way. So here's your mission going forward. Live as if you are already complete. Stop seeking approval. Stop begging for validation. Build your body. Build your mind. Build your mission. Master your emotions. Control your silence. When you do this consistently, something incredible happens. You stop being the man who fears rejection, and you become the man who can't be rejected because rejection doesn't touch you anymore. That's the final transformation. That's the man she can't ignore. That's the man the world respects. So remember, overreaction kills attraction. Chasing kills respect. Weakness kills desire. But strength, calm, steady, untouchable strength creates magnetism that no woman, no circumstance can deny. You are no longer the man who begs. You are no longer the man who fears. You are the man who is untouchable. And once you embrace that, you'll never see women, relationships, or yourself the same way again.